Welcome to the Whole Athlete Podcast, where we focus on discussing topics to help you become a fat burner, optimize health, and improve performance in life and sports. Transform the whole you from the inside out with the WHOLESTIC Method. Let's dive in. Here's your host, Debbie Potts.
Hey guys, it's Debbie Potts, and I'm doing a Friday episode about how you can improve your athletic performance and, of course, longevity. And as I have been for many years, an endurance athlete and an ex-competitive endurance triathlete, Ironman athlete, 50K trail running, marathoning, cycling events, I did it all until I created internal breakdown and burnout back in 2013. And you can read all about my personal life and my personal journey in my book on Amazon. If you can head to Amazon and buy Life is Not a Race, It is a Journey with the WHOLESTIC Method. You can also find the WHOLESTIC Method manual on Amazon as well. So just search for Debbie Potts and you can find it. Also, while you're online, search for debbiepotts.net website and download one of my many free ebooks on liver detox and chronic stress and how to be fat adapted and more on there. I need to ask my assistant how you can find them all because I know there's lots on there, but that's not my expertise. So I delegate to an assistant to help me with that website. As I learned the hard way, more is not better. So today's episode, I'm going to talk about my February challenge. I'm doing a Vespa experiment to figure out I'm trying to figure out how I can run faster and stronger and build my endurance up. If you've listened to this podcast since we started with Fit, Fat, Fast in 2012, 2011 with John Smith and I, you can find our 100 episodes on debbiepotts.net podcast. Look up archives for Fit, Fat, Fast because we talked all about maffetone, metabolic efficiency, eating fat to burn fat way back then, long ago. So I've done all this. I wrote all of my stuff in my book, Life is Not a Race. I was a low-carb athlete. I was doing fasted workouts. I was eating lots of fat. I was doing bulletproof coffee way too much. Again, the Goldilocks fat, not too much, not too little. The right amount for you that creates benefits, hormetic stress, good amount of stress, not constant chronic stress that we get from doing too much cardio, from too much fasting, eating too little or too much. There's just that right amount, everything. And my challenge has been to be able to race again. I don't know if you've tried Vespa yourself. Peter Defty's been on this podcast a few times, and hopefully we'll have him on once a month to dive in deeper on the science and research on the fat adapted athlete, as he knows his stuff and has been doing this as long as me or longer than myself. And he's a science guy. But let me know what you've learned from Vespa. I'm going to try to take it before my long runs and then short runs. Now, I must say I was just in Hawaii for 5 days, and it's easy to get up and go running every morning when you're in somewhere warm and can run along a leafy drive and enjoy the smells of the flowers and the sounds of the birds and the sounds of the waves crashing. But I come back to Seattle and it's pouring rain, and I work in the morning and with clients, so I don't get to go running as much here when it's raining because I hate rain. And well, again, Goldilocks effect of rain. Just a little rain's good, not too much because that's annoying, not too little because you want some change. So right now we're having excessive chronic rain, so it's not so good. Anyways, so if you've followed my journey, you know that I don't like to brag, and I share my race results just to show where I was and what happened to me. Again, I say this every time because it's my purpose, my mission, and my passion to help other people avoid going through what I've had happen back in 2013. And fast forward to 2020, I still can't run over, say, 5 miles without getting fatigued or feeling heavy and tiredness, and my heart rate goes up. I've done maffetone training since like 2001. I've done heart rate training for 20 years. I actually started heart zone training certification courses with Sally Edwards. I taught them heart zone training workshops rather, and I did heart rate training way long ago. So I've done all this. I sound ancient. I feel young, but I'm suddenly 48 years old and life is going by so fast. But I did do heart rate training. I did MAF heart rate when I started working with Mark Allen back in 2003. I started doing Ironmans in 2001. I did marathons and long distance cycling as Seattle to Portland and ride around Mount Rainier. It's called Ramrod. I've done a lot of endurance training and I was strong. I could have really good endurance. I had great metabolic efficiency. I could train at high heart rates and still burn a ton of fat. I was metabolically efficient and flexible. So why can I not run over 5 miles and it's 5, 6, 7, 8 years later, I still can't train for a marathon? I was training and racing and fueling as low carb. I was doing the morning fasted workouts, I said. I was tracing a low carb athlete, very competitive. I wanted to win my age group. I was usually top in my age group. If I could swim faster, I'd place first. So it was my hang up is hitting swim. And that's why I'm never playing golf, because I can't ever get my swim fast enough where I want it. But anyways, I was fit and healthy on the outside. I was doing tons of races. I was racing, as I wrote in my book, every month I did a race. Everyone would say, hey, Debbie, when's your next race? Life has changed because now everyone goes, Debbie, when's your next vacation? Where are you going next? So that's another blog. I'm writing a mini article about what I've learned since 2013. So I raced. I was fit and healthy on the outside. I was lean. I was strong. I didn't think I was too skinny or too lean, but I guess when my husband met me in 2005, I was too lean and I thought I looked good, but I was broken. I found out March that in 2013 that I wasn't healthy on the inside. As I wrote, the title of my book is what I was doing. I was living life as a race and not as a journey. I was doing too much every day. I was stressed out running my own small business. I opened a fitness studio and left a health club and to open up my own personal training and coaching and corporate fitness. I was doing way too much. I was teaching a ton of classes for many years on top of training at a high competitive level for Ironman. And I would do 1 or 2 Ironmans a year because you have to qualify for Ironman Hawaii. And I would do half Ironmans to prep and for an Ironman. And then I would do Olympic distance races. And then I do marathons in the off season, trail running. So I was racing all year long. So it wasn't really an off season. And obviously I was type A. I guess I still am. I'm a little more laid back. I'm not so intense. And I learned the hard way. And I'm trying to help you avoid that journey, that road that I went down. So my podcasts on Wednesdays are talking about more health building, the rebuilding, and how FDN, health detective process, can help you. My goal is to help you avoid becoming broken on the inside out, because you don't know what the damage is that you're doing to your body unless you do functional lab testing with clinical correlation to all your main health complaints and nutritional therapy assessments and your metabolic chaos scorecard and all this intake forms that I put together with I clinically correlate all the intake forms with your functional lab test and a food log and your symptoms, all of that together to create a protocol for you and learn how to optimize your health for longevity, to feel you are improving your performance in daily life and your future life, not just focusing on your race season this year. Because what a lot of athletes are doing are overtraining, training too much high heart rate, doing the black hole training, HIIT training, which is often people aren't doing really HIIT training because they're in the middle of the heart rate zone. They're not going all out 90% and they're recovering enough in between. So there's so many areas that people are creating more damage than creating positive, beneficial, hormetic stress. So going to my Vespa challenge, my struggle over the years has been able to run faster again. I used to be able to run a marathon. Boston at 3:12 was my PR, and then I did 3:17. I could do a 3:45, 3:40 marathon at the end of an Ironman. And now I barely could do a 2-hour half marathon, and it hasn't gotten better. So Peter Defty suggested try Vespa. I'm all about studying the mitochondria function and how I can improve my energy production by focusing on the mitochondria, because if you've listened to the Energy Blueprint with Ari Whitten, and I'm going to have a lot of guests on the Monday episode of the podcast coming up here talking about mitochondria, how we can optimize the function of mitochondria in order to improve our athletic performance, improve our ability to burn fat, and improve our aging process, longevity, which should be your number one goal, not just performance. So I am going to share this journey, and I'm going to share this experiment with you to see if I do better running with a little Vespa before I run my long runs on Sundays. I was trying to do it with my shorter runs during the week, but we'll talk a little bit about Vespa, what it does. But I can tell if I'm faster because I use my Garmin watch with my heart rate monitor, and I see my pace, and I am kind of aware when I'm struggling. I've been doing this long enough, and I'm frustrated enough, to be honest, that I'm ready to try anything to get faster, almost anything. I've tried everything, I feel like. But so Vespa is a supplement that you can take to get your body to use fat as fuel. I am low carb. I do have a lot of intermittent fasting during the week. I do often weekdays, 1 meal a day. And sometimes I wonder if we cause more stress. So you have to, by fasting too much, and perhaps maybe doing fasted long run workouts is too much stress. And perhaps my heart rate's going up because I'm not efficient at, my mitochondria are damaged. So there's a lot of oxidative stress that we have, and liver congestion, leaky gut, parasites, all this stuff impacts our cell health. So that's why I became an FDN practitioner, because I want to know what's under the hood, know if I'm fit and healthy on the outside, but am I healthy on the inside? And that is how our body systems create energy, give you the ability to go for a long run and recover quickly. But if things are broken on the inside, you're not going to have great athletic performance, great athletic recovery and repair. Fat loss, health overall is starting at a cellular level. So I am burning fat. I do measure my blood sugar on and off. I'm not as consistent as I used to be because I get tired of being obsessed with doing something these days. So I do it periodically. I just want to be able to run the way I used to. And I'm working on strength training, form, drills, and getting body work done to activate my glutes more, and different things with my friend Nikki Hind in Kona and Scott Olson in San Diego. They're just more of the body detectives to figure out why your mechanics, why something's off, why something's not working. So many body workers just fix this problem. Like they work on your symptoms, just like a lot of naturopath doctors do. They just treat your symptoms. Well, as FDN practitioner, I'm acting as a health detective, and my friends Nikki and Scott, I really find are body detectives to figure out what's imbalancing your body. Why is your running form suffering? Why do you feel heavy? Why is my glute on my left side and my hip flexors so weak and they're not firing? Well, sides note, I'll have Nikki on the podcast one day, but she's finding it's my right thumb. Crazy enough, but because of the tightness of my right palm, because I'm on my computer more than I used to, and I type, and for some reason my thumb has nowhere to go when I'm typing, so it has this weird position in the air. So because of my tightness and the mechanics of my right hand and thumb joint and my knuckles and my palm, it is throwing my gait off when I run, causing my rib cage to twist in my hip and everything gets dysfunctional just from my right hand. So my left side screwed up because of my right hand. So she does muscle testing. You'll find out my left glute and left hip flexor were not firing when we did the muscle testing. But then when she released the palm of my right hand and got my knuckle working, my leg worked. How crazy is that? Anyways, that was a side story. But you want to get someone to work on you, health detective, but also body detective. Look at your mechanics, what's firing, what's not, what needs to be working at optimal level if you want to improve your running, swimming, or biking, whatever sport. Also, just daily activities. Doesn't really matter if you're an athlete or not. So what is Vespa? We talked about the other podcast, a recent podcast with Peter a couple weeks ago. So you can look that up. But just to repeat some of the things we discussed. Fat is your fuel. We know that. You're listening to this, you're a fat-adapted athlete, or you're curious about fat-adapted athletes. We shouldn't be burning carbohydrates as our main fuel source. So that's what metabolic flexibility is, that you should be burning fat, be able to switch to burning carbohydrates when needed, and then switch back to your main fuel tank, your fat. Think of the big fat logs in a fire versus kindling. So on the Vespa website, you can learn more, and I put the link in the show notes. Humans are meant to metabolize fat as their primary aerobic energy source. For over 20 years, Vespa has pioneered results-driven performance. Vespa is a fat-burning catalyst, which works with your body's natural metabolic pathways. So we can see that this need to work on what we're eating, how we're eating, when we're eating is really important. So Vespa is to help us keep burning fat. They say Vespa is a fat-burning catalyst which works with your body's natural metabolic pathways. It is not a significant source of calories, nor is it an electrolyte replacement or an energy drink. So you won't feel any sugar high or caffeine buzz. And you won't feel any of the crashes either that are a result of the high and low blood sugar roller coaster. So Vespa works by optimizing your body's ability to derive its energy from a readily available and plentiful source to enhance athletic performance. So, which is why I want to try this. So it's available by just taking, it's like in a gel pack with a little cap. So it's easy. We'll talk about when to take it and how to take it, but it works by optimizing your body's ability to drive its energy from a readily available and plentiful source to enhance athletic performance, recovery, and overall health was the rest of it. So that's on the website, vespapower.com. And that's kind of why I want to try it. You know, it's so funny to me that I feel like other people would relate to this. So I'm going to share this, that I think a lot of us feel superhuman and amazing if we can go for a long run without eating anything. Do you agree? I mean, do you feel guilty if you've been doing fasted long run workouts? Do you feel guilty if you took Vespa before you worked out? I realized recently I feel like I'm cheating and I'm not a fat burner enough if I have anything before my run. I do have coffee and some organic heavy cream in it and my water with some electrolytes. And now I'm trying adding minerals to my water. But it's funny. I think if we don't, I was hesitant for a long time to try this because it has some orange juice and a little honey in it. I was afraid it was going to spike my blood sugar up because I am super sensitive to sugar. I'll get a headache in literally 5 seconds if something doesn't agree with me. So it makes me easier for me to be low carb because I get headaches so easily from any sugar. I'm very sensitive. But if Vespa can help me keep burning fat, maybe it will help me on my run when I'm doing a long run on Sundays, keep my heart rate from drifting upward. I think something happens at a cellular level because I damage myself so much that I have in my metabolic assessment lab I just did last fall, high level of oxidative stress. It's kind of disturbing to see my own lab reports that I am still off because no one ever tested my metabolic assessment test that we do in FDN, and it's really amazing to see my own lab results. So it's a Biohealth 101 that we test with people. Urinary indican test, I was +2, which is moderate level. Urinary lipid peroxides, I was red zone, 4.45, and that's a big one. This is why I think all labs should be done for athletes, because this metabolic assessment profile, the Dutch test or the Biohealth saliva test that you can do for hormone balance, you should at least do these 2 tests, and the parasite stool test, the GI map, I have my clients do. So I can order these tests for clients, and they take the tests and ship them back to the company, and then they interpret the results for us, then we add it to their protocol. But this one test tells me my urinary indican is, if you don't know what that is, it's the assessment for protein digestion, dysbiosis, SIBO, malabsorption state, also known as where it's putrefaction of protein. So I'm not breaking down protein. So they said the putrefaction of tryptophan from dietary protein is dysbiotic bacteria in the GI tract. Problems with protein digestion are often caused by the following factors: H. pylori, which this is why you have to do the parasite test, parasite infections, dysbiosis, lack of digestive enzymes, liver dysfunction, inability to digest protein can lead to bowel putrefaction, adverse effects on glycemic control, and hormone imbalance. So right there, you can see why it's important to do a multiple lab work, that we're not just doing this test, we're not just doing the hormone panel, and you're not treating any of these results because they all overlap. So right there, that's the indication. That just gave me clues that I have digestive problems. I have liver dysfunction, possibly. So we need to investigate a little bit deeper. Urinary lipid peroxides were pretty high on me, and that's important for athletes to know. That's a mechanism of cellular injury and is used as an indicator of oxidative stress. The elevation of lipid peroxides serves as an early warning of the potential long-term effects of oxidative stress. We keep talking about this. Oxidative stress can result from exposure to toxins. And toxins are not just in your environment, but also your food, your home, your household cleaning ingredients, your fragrances, your detergents, but also your makeup, your skincare, and emotional toxins. Big one we just talked about. And pathogens. And inappropriate lifestyles such as over-exercising, smoking, I hope none of you smoke, and the byproducts of normal metabolism. Lipid peroxides are unstable and decompose to form a series of compounds such as big name, MDA. MDA is quantified through controlled reaction with thiobarbutic acid, generating another big word, that same word. That's called TBARS. That's why they give initials, because the words are so big. And urinary bile acids is another test. Now I came out in the green zone, but it was kind of not quite in the middle. So I want to be at optimal level. I always think if you're, green's optimal, yellow's okay, red's okay, bad. I don't want to be the low end of green. I want to be at optimal level. So yellow means to me the same as red. So my bile acids in this test are kind of ideal, but not so ideal. But what does that mean? Bile acids are synthesized by liver cells from cholesterol. They are then stored in the gallbladder after conjugation. After entering the intestinal lumen, subsequent, can't speak this time of day, gallbladder contraction, bile acids are reabsorbed in the ileum, which is the first part of the small intestine, and cleared from the portal circulation on the first pass through the liver. Elevated bile acids in the urine represent bile acids that were not cleared by the liver. This is an indication of liver dysfunction. A low level of bile acids is suggested of inflammatory bowel disease, chronic malabsorption, diarrhea, or starvation. So this gives us clues if we should get further lab testing, as the GI map, the test for the biohealth gut test also is another one. And to find out if you have any gut issues, we also do intestinal permeable gut tests, leaky gut, which you can, almost assume everyone has leaky gut. And then we also do the MRT food sensitivity lab, because if you're eating foods that are inflammatory to your gut, you keep causing irritation to your gut wall lining, and that leads to everything else. So everything's connected. So I got a client that just did her MRT test, and her red foods are Brussels sprouts, cantaloupe, Robios tea, strawberry, and turkey. And then her yellow foods are asparagus, cauliflower, and other things in here. I would eat cucumber. Well, I used to eat goat's milk, kale, lamb, onion, and just all these different things. Turmeric was on there. So you don't know unless you do this lab testing. So going back to learning how to train and build your athletic performance, we want to make sure that we're not creating more damage than good by training too much, too often. And if we're not able to break down our food properly, all this is contributing to your metabolic chaos. And so perhaps for my case study, why I'm not able to run at optimal level and get my strength and my speed and my endurance up, why do I keep struggling? That's why I have to do my other labs myself, which are, I just got to my house and I have to take them now. But, making time and effort to do these labs will give us more feedback of what's going on in the inside. So, you might be fit, but you're not healthy on the inside. So Vespa perhaps will help being a fat burning catalyst and help optimize the fat adaptation or burning fat while I do long run versus my body thinks it's under more stress and the heart rate goes up too high and starts to burn sugar instead of fat. And so if I go back to being fasted, to having a little Vespa beforehand, I shouldn't be ashamed, embarrassed, or depressed that I have to have some fuel if it gives me better recovery post-run. So with what Peter says with Vespa, what you notice is what you don't notice. He says the ups and downs in energy levels, the mental fog and lack of focus, impaired motor skills and coordination, being wrecked after a workout, food cravings, and DOMS, a big one of delayed onset muscle soreness the next day. Now, I find as I say, can't blame the aging process, but I find that I need to give myself more recovery time in between my workouts, and I do better maybe every other day than running each day or, every 2 days. So Vespa does not boost your performance, but optimizes your natural potential. It has effects on your body that you might not notice, but they're going to show up more. Like he says, what you don't notice are the things we're looking at. So the shift to beta oxidation will help you in your recovery process. And I think that's an important part of what we're looking at is, can I keep my body from going into carb burning and stress, create more oxidative stress levels and have the blood sugar go up, which means insulin goes up and harder to recovery process. And so tapping into your natural fuel sources, fat, is the key to our endurance and stamina. So if Peter says a shift to beta oxidation and ketosis also produces blood sugar stabilizing effects, so mental focus and motor skills remain razor sharp, allowing the athlete to be at top of their game for the entire race, event, or workout. Significantly less damage from the oxidative stress and lactate load is what I was just talking about that you can measure with the lab testing, can be directly felt in terms of lower muscle soreness. Improved performance from carbohydrate intake using Vespa and its OFM program, optimal fat metabolism, we've talked a lot about, gives their athletes more a fat adapted state and increases the benefits from having some carbohydrates. So the carbs work better and stronger. Carbs in your body will work better, stronger using less carbs when using Vespa. So, we always think carbs are bad for us, and I think it's hard because we listen to all these people that are keto, low carb, and carnivore now that are not training the way we train as endurance athletes. So we need to remember women are not small men, as Stacy Sims says, and we need to keep in mind that a lot of the studies are done on men, not women, and then also a lot of them are not endurance athletes. And everyone has different genetics, I keep saying, and bioindividuality. Metabolic typing you want to look at too, I think is important to see, looking at the whole you as an individual, not trying to do this one-size-fits-all approach. But having a little Vespa is a good experiment, as I'm doing this month. So if you want to try it with me, I'm just going to see if I can take it before a run. So I was told to take Vespa 30 to 45 minutes if the exercise before, 30 to 45 minutes before starting the workout. And then if exercise duration is longer than 2 hours, which that's the point I'm doing this because I can't run that long, then you want to take Vespa every 2 to 2.5 hours. So that would be for my long bike rides that I'll do more in the spring and summertime, but not in Seattle in the wintertime, unless I go to Tucson. So recommended for use for Vespa is your long workouts, but also the high intensity workouts. So as Peter keeps saying, what you notice is what you don't notice. What you notice is what you don't notice. The ups and downs, the energy, constant need to ingest food, mental fog, soreness after workout, all of that. So I'm going to try it. I'll share my progress along the way. And if you want to join in, just let me know what you are doing for your fueling for your long runs and see if you are needing a little boost. Maybe you need to not be so fixated on fasting and take a little Vespa before your long run and see how you feel. So I will do my long run on Sunday. So I'll do a little Facebook page post on Low Carb Athlete and see how I react to it. But that's my story, and I'm going to try it because I want to race again. I just had to cancel doing Hanu 70.3, and I had to cancel doing Ironman Canada. So I'm kind of sad, but you know, I'm having fun in life, and I have a different attitude, and I'm traveling and playing, and it's good on the other side. So life isn't all about racing. You learn that once you can't race. You figure out other things to do, and like traveling around the world. So let me know if you have any questions and comments and feedback. Head to debbiepotts.net. Let me know questions or comments, and give me a shout out on social media, Low Carb Athlete on Instagram and Facebook. And I love hearing from people around the world. It's so cool when people reach out from different countries and say they're listening and they enjoy the podcast and they can relate and they get what I'm talking about. So keep doing that. I love hearing that because this is my purpose. My purpose is to help you spread this message. So if you want info on coaching, give me a call, email, and we'll set up a consultation to go over kind of the Health Detective program. And it's 90 days, and so it's a commitment. But we meet every week and we work on the holistic method elements. We work on the functional lab testing, and we work on figuring out how to solve your individual case of metabolic chaos. So learn more on my blog and my website, debbiepotts.net. But until then, go do something fun. Make sure you get outside today. It's raining here, so I'm not outside, but I'll open the window when I'm driving my car. All right, talk to you guys later. Have a great day. Make it the best one ever.
Thanks for listening to the Whole Athlete Podcast. If you have any questions, feedback, or topic suggestions, let us know on Facebook or at wholeathletepodcast.com. You can help us continue and grow by leaving a review on iTunes. Thanks again, and see you next time.